takes it to the end zone. Caught. Michigan State's got it.
After further review, the runner did cross the line.
Keith Nickel, former Michigan State wide receiver, and this is my feature. I'm from Lowell, Michigan, which is just outside of Grand Rapids, really small town. Played Division II football there. If I were to equate it to anything, it definitely has a Friday Night Lights type of environment. The whole town shuts down to come watch our program play, especially when we were there. We had a great run, great coach, Hall of Fame type coach, and it was an awesome environment to play high school football in. We'd have anywhere from, we've had 5,000 people in our stands up to 20,000 people in our stands for a big playoff game. So it ranged, and we had a great fan base. As a young kid, you look up to mentors and people in front of you that have accomplished bigger and better things. From the town I was from, nobody had ever gone Division I on scholarship. It was a lot of Division II and below. So for me, my vision, while I wanted to play Division I and go above and beyond that as a young kid, I never thought that that would be an opportunity, right? You can only see sometimes as far as the other people that have come before you. And where it really became surreal for me is a 7-on-7 camp going into my sophomore year at Purdue. All the coaches were lining up watching us do 7-on-7. Then I thought they were watching my wide receivers, but they ended up watching me. And offers ended up pouring in there shortly after. And this was before I really had any kind of meaningful football game in front of me. So was it surreal? 100%. And in some ways, you're wondering if you deserve it all, and you're crediting a lot of your players and athletes around you that make you look good and do well. And so a lot of times when you're going out there to compete, you're just trying to prove to yourself that you're worthy of the attention and the success that you're having. I committed to Michigan State out of high school because I wanted to play for John L. Smith and be the next Drew Stanton in the run and gun type offense, and just played in the shotgun. And so they fired John L. Smith, of course, and I go to Oklahoma, who at the time was pumping everybody that played into the NFL, and they were that dynasty program. So I went there. The competition was extremely deep at every position, as you can imagine, and quarterback was no exception. Now at the time, Sam Bradford was there, but he was relatively unknown and under-recruited, a hometown kid. His dad played there and those types of things. So we had a very deep quarterback battle. I think I played 5 or 6 games at Oklahoma, didn't redshirt, and that was a very tough competition. And reflecting on it, Sam was a perfect fit for Oklahoma and their offense and the type of players they had surrounding them, and very accurate, smart quarterback, did everything they needed. And so that competition taught me a lot for the future around, just always being prepared, working hard. That doesn't guarantee anything. Hard work and talent doesn't guarantee anything. Sometimes the stars got to align on an opportunity, and the stars didn't necessarily align for myself in that opportunity, but also pushed me to go back home to be at Michigan State, where I wanted to be kind of from the beginning, and things worked out well there too. Yeah, that was an interesting dynamic. Similar, like you referenced, because I came into a competition where the quarterback had another year or two ahead of me in the system and more familiarity, but our talents were very different. An athlete would run a lot, where Kirk would, sit in the pocket a lot more, even more so than even Sam would. And we had a very pro-style offense at the time at Michigan State. Injury was a big part of the change, though. It wasn't, Kirk and I went back and forth quite a bit, and I had a dislocated elbow against Illinois, which we actually brushed under the rug a decent amount because, for our competition, they wanted us to prepare for both. So a lot of people actually don't know that side of the story, but I had a dislocated left elbow, missed 3 or 4 games because of that, and to Kirk's credit, did an awesome job leading the offense, and he was everything we needed him to be for the future. And then the opportunity to move to wide receiver became available as I became healthy, and jumped on it. The things that the young kids at wide receiver have to learn in terms of the offense, the playbook, the nuances of what the quarterback's looking for, all those things I took for granted because I already knew that stuff. And so what was challenging wasn't the playbook or execution, it was learning new techniques, doing things like blocking and figuring those types of things out to help at that position, how to get in and out of breaks and that type of stuff effectively. Fortunately, I could always catch the football, I could always run, I could always jump, do those things that God gave me, but learning the techniques of how to play wide receiver were the biggest challenge. You know, it's not something I think about when I'm on my own or in business or in life or anything, but it is something that gets brought up more frequently than I would ever dream of. It's brought up every week, you know, of my life, and so in that sense I do think about it a lot because it's brought up in conversation a lot. And you know, it's the most amazing thing about it to me is not the play or the context of the play or the environment or anything. What's incredible to me is how many people it impacted, and how many people come up and say, well, here's where I was at. They remember where they're at. They're with their kids. That was their kid's first game, in Michigan State history, or that's what, they met their wife at that game. Or just like, you hear the craziest stuff, and they'll tell me exactly where they're sitting and what was going on in that moment, how they still celebrate it. Guys that won bets and that type of stuff, or lost bets because of that play. I mean, I've heard it all, and that's what's fun about it, really. Yeah, so I studied finance and supply chain at Michigan State, which to me was, if and when football ended, those were the best positions for myself, the way I thought and operated for me to succeed beyond football, whenever that was. And like any player in college who's had success, their aspirations are to then go on to the NFL in some capacity, hopefully for a long time, but it doesn't last forever. I was no exception. I wanted to move on to the NFL and have an opportunity to play professionally. I was not a person, though, that was going to chase the dream forever or go play Canadian football. If it worked in the NFL, great. If not, there's other ventures in life to become successful and enjoy life. And so when I realized football wasn't clicking right away in the NFL, and we're moving around already between camps with the Redskins and the Bears. For me, I said, well, I don't want to get behind my peers too far. I want to jump into business and into venture. And it took me about a year to figure out what I really wanted to do after. And that's when this opportunity to run my wealth management business and asset management business presented itself. While I didn't even know what that was as a small town kid from Lowell, I learned more about it over the period of 6 months and dove all in at 24 or 5 and never looked back. I knew in year 3 that I had a really good chance to have a lot of success at this and build it up into something special and something I was really proud of. In year 5, that's when I knew it. Like, I knew it and the conviction was there, and I said, if I put everything I have into this the way I did with football, then I'll hopefully accomplish things that I never dreamed of the same way I did in football. Exceeded my expectations, never thought I'd play past Division II, that type of stuff. So I'm putting that same effort, energy, and enthusiasm into my career now that I did when I was a sophomore in high school, trying to be a great football player.